Let me now come to who is a guru. Guru is an extremely important part of Bharatiya learning system. You will notice that when in India, whether it's in an aircraft or in a train or in a bus, when I go out and when somebody asks me what do I do, and the moment I say I teach in a university, there is an element of change of behavior, change of tonality, change of these people become slightly more respectful when they're talking to me. Suddenly, when I say that I'm a teacher, our hopes, aspirations from a guru and a teacher are very, very high. We look at teacher as someone who's differently constructed, even today, even in mainstream education systems. That is why even in the universities that I've taught, often parents would come to meet me with their children and say that, look, they don't know me, probably they know me through some friend or some other relative, but they want to come and tell me, look, our child is in this university, please take care of him. Where does this come from? And why is this? There is something about teacher in this land which we must recognize differently. Let me go a little deeper. A guru is not simply an instructor who teaches a subject. Guru is someone who helps a student develop and discover clarity, humility, and purpose. Gurus hold knowledge not only in the mind but in their way of living. In fact, that is why we often say that guru has a higher seat of reverence, because what the guru does becomes mark of the character of the guru is an extremely, extremely important aspect that parents and students look up to, learn from, emulate. For this reason, the guru is always placed at the highest seat of reverence. You can actually see this relationship reflected in countless small gestures. So for instance, at the start and end of every session, students fold their hands, bow their head and offer a vandana to the guru. In the Jain parampara, shlokas of gratitude are recited. In Gurukulas, children seek the guru's agya before beginning any new activity. In monasteries and mathams, no students sit with their feet stretched towards the guru. A Shishya also never sits on a level higher than the guru. It's either the same level or the guru is on a higher pedestal. All this is done, by the way, irrespective of the age. Even if the guru is smaller in age, the practice sustains. Students maintain vivek in their interactions. They speak with respect, they avoid malice, and treat the learning space as sacred. This creates a mutual relationship where the guru feels responsible for the learner and the learner feels safe to grow under their guidance. Think about your own classrooms and why this is reflected in our ordinary behavior, even in mainstream universities and colleges and schools. A rude student is generally looked down upon in a big way, who challenges authority, who challenges the respect, who's just disrespectful to a teacher. It's just people don't like it. Even the friends don't like. You should not say something like this to a teacher, no matter how strict the teacher is. And this is something that comes. In fact, if parents get to know that the child was rude to the teacher, parents themselves don't like it, no matter the merit of the argument. And in some ways, this is really coming from the positionality of a guru in our ecosystem. Every action carries an awareness. Learning is sacred, so the one who's guiding it is also sacred. This respect is not fear, it is trust. And a guru is therefore honored because they have dedicated their life to understanding, practicing, and embodying the very knowledge they teach. You should know, interestingly, Teachers' Day is also a day in India, right? We decided to create a day called Teachers' Day. It was on 5th September. You can have all kinds of gratitude expressions everywhere in the world, but what would it make, even the politics of the country, to create a day called the Teachers' Day? Mother's Day, Father's Day, all of those days, they come from the West. But the Teachers' Day has come from India. And so therefore, in fact, interestingly, you will probably not find teachers only in schools and colleges in India. So sometimes our gurus are actually probably some of our neighbors, some uncle who has often guided me, and I will go to that person. Or some dadima who I will go and ask her, what should I do in this matter? Because I know this person is giving me advice because they truly believe in my well-being, not because they're getting paid for doing it or training me into some skill. And this is very important. And therefore, when Guru-Shishya bond is respected, learning becomes a shared journey. A student learns not only from the words spoken in class, but from Guru's silence, from Guru's disciplines, presence, example, and the way the Guru lives. Imagine if that learning becomes emulative. It generally elevates the level of society itself. Guru Dakshina, therefore, let me come to Guru Dakshina. This is a term that we often hear. It's therefore not a fees. I mean, it is not like the translation of Guru Dakshina is not Guru fees. Okay, it's a gesture of gratitude. It's an offering that acknowledges the transformation that is received. For instance, a coconut in Kerala Matham, a shawl offered in the Himalayas, or simple word of thanks in an upashray. Dan and Dakshana are often used as terms which are together. And let me talk about the finances here a bit. You see, dan, contribution, quote unquote donation, so to speak. If you read historical accounts, you realize that many of these learning spaces were working because the communities were supporting them. The community wanted a learning space to be there in their village or in their town or wherever, and they would create these sums of money that would be donated. This is not just for a small tiny school in some small town or a village, but also for institutions of higher learning like Nalanda and other places. So for higher learning, maybe the kings were giving the money. For smaller spaces, the community itself was giving money. The gurus and the Shishya, they're all going every day asking for contribution from members of society. And students are also doing this. If the society doesn't want that learning space to be there, they will not give their they will not do this dana, they will not contribute. And if they don't contribute, the society will not deserve that learning space. So any enlightened, any civilized, any aware society would want it to happen. And therefore the learning spaces that evolved in this country evolved through community's effort, not necessarily only through the efforts of some raja alone. And this is important to be realized even today, for that matter. Therefore, the universities, colleges, schools which are running purely not for profit manner, I mean, we don't like when learning spaces become profitable. And part of the reason is because we want to give it, you do your thing, because what you do to the minds of our young people will determine the future of this country, of this society, of this land, or of this community. And therefore this is important, both dana and dakshana. In fact, I don't know, fee is shulk. We don't say Guru Shulka. We say Guru Dakshana. And Dakshana is different. And therefore a guru does not just teach you what you think. They help you understand how to live. They see your strengths before you see them yourself. They steady you when your mind is confused. They hold space for your transformation with patience and compassion. And in that sacred bond, learning becomes more than education. Guru Shishya Parampara, therefore, is not just an ordinary word that we keep saying. It has deep meaning, also deeply historical meaning. And this is where the trust, the parental trust, comes in the picture. The companionship, the supporter, the guru being supporter, the guru being the well-wisher. How many of us have jumped with joy when we saw our teacher in a railway station or in the airport after years of them having taught us? Or when they came to, in my wedding, when my school teachers came, that was some of the happiest moment that I had. This is unusually beautiful. So even in mainstream spaces, this bond nurtures. But this doesn't happen because the school or the college creates the rules for it to happen. It emerges naturally. Because deep down, our Jivan Darshana remains the same across the country, no matter whether it's a Gurukula or maybe even in a mainstream education space. In fact, when you visit a doctor, so this is a good example. When you visit a doctor, the first thing they do is not to prescribe medicine. As I was telling you, they understand you. They study your history, they observe your symptoms, and they identify the root of what needs attention. Only then do they offer a treatment plan. And because you trust their judgment, you follow it without doubt. A guru does not begin by imposing a syllabus, therefore. Understanding the child, their nature, strengths, fears, rhythms, and the ways of learning. That's what a guru does. Patient observation builds a deep trust, where both the Shishya and the parents feel confident that the guru will guide the learner towards what is truly the best for their overall well-being